meeting to order and ask that you join with me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Now would you please rise and join in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we'll have Director Knight read our mission.
Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to ensure that each and every student who graduates prepared for college, career, and citizenship as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community.
Thank you, Director Knight. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for the proposed issuance of school infrastructure sales, services, and used tax revenue refunding bonds. The district proposes to issue approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and used tax revenue bonds for the purpose of providing funds to convert Central Middle School building into a new high school building, including constructing additions and related remodeling, and improve the site, including costs of issuance and a debt service reserve fund if required by the purchaser. Any bond proceeds remaining after completion of this project will be used for other school infrastructure projects as authorized by the district's revenue purpose statement. Iowa Code Section 423F.42 requires that the Board of Directors hold a public hearing on the proposed issuance of sales tax bonds and that the electors be given 14 days following the hearing in which to file a petition with the Board Secretary requesting an election on the bond issuance. The petition must be signed by eligible electors equal in number to not less than 100 or 30% of those voting at the last preceding election of school officials under Iowa Code Section 277.1, whichever is greater. If a valid petition is not filed within the 14-day period following the public hearing, no action may be brought questioning the legality of the bonds, the authority to issue the bonds, or any of the proceedings in connection with the issuance of the bonds. 2 meetings are required to complete the hearing process for the proposed bond issuance. The actions to be taken at each of the meetings are as follows. The first publicized meeting, July 8, 2024, was a resolution fixing the date for a hearing on the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and used tax revenue bonds. The board announced its proposed issuance of sales tax bonds, including the approximate amount of the bonds and the intended use of the bond proceeds, and set the time, date, and location for the public hearing on the proposed issuance. A notice of the hearing, including date, time, and place, was part of these proceedings. The notice of public hearing must be published in one or more newspapers, not less than 10 nor more than 20 days before the public hearing. The notice was published in the Courier on July 16, 2024. The second meeting, which is today, July 29, 2024, the board holds a public hearing on the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and used tax revenue bonds. The board considers approval of the resolution supporting the proposed issuance of the approximately $165 million through infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. I declare this public hearing open. So anybody that would wish to come speak to the board? Could you start by please stating your name and address? Thank you.
Scott Wienans, 104 Clyde Circle, Waterloo. Thank you, Honorable Board, to have an opportunity to speak tonight about, this is probably one of the biggest deals that's going to affect Waterloo for the next 50 or 100 years. I'm a graduate of West High, all the Waterloo schools. 3 daughters went through the Waterloo schools and thrived. And now we've got grandkids going through, and our experiences have been phenomenal. But anyway, all that to say, as I pondered this whole thing, I get this whole east-west thing. I'm a West High guy. I know people are East High guys. I get that whole thing. And that has been kind of a dividing thing in this community for a long, long time. And I can assure you, based upon my grandsons and the athletics that they were in, that these teams will play as hard and strong as they can when they're playing against each other. But when they're out of, on the field of battle, you'll find them all at the sportsplex, hanging out on a rain day or a snow day or whatever. Everybody knows everybody. We're actually a pretty small community. So this division that was so apparent when I was growing up has dissolved in a lot of ways. As I pondered this, though, I thought, you know what, is it better to have it? Would it be better to have it at East High? Would it be better to have it at West High? Or would it be better to have here? And I kind of thought about the whole thing recently and mulled it over. And I thought about, we could maybe do this thing at East High. But then I got to thinking how East High is pretty well landlocked and doesn't have the infrastructure, the career center, which is a huge deal. My 2 grandsons spent every day of their senior year up here at the career center, and it set them on their path at college in graphic design, and that's what they're both doing. So then I thought, well, maybe West High, and I looked at that, and it's landlocked as well. And so, the fact that you're not going to raise my property taxes, I'm a property tax owner, I don't want my taxes raised, nobody does, and that we can do this without going to the general public and raising property taxes, and the fact we have the career center, we've got the football stadium, we raised a bunch of money to build the track. Ideally, this location may not be perfect, but it's where it needs to be. This is something that is 50 years past its time. Like I said before, that Cedar River has divided Waterloo far too long. And I end with this: if not now, when? Thank you.
Thank you.
Forrest Dillawoo of Huntington Road, longtime Waterloo resident. I'm here to talk about the bonds you want to sell. I'm here to tell you that the $165 million that you plan to borrow is strictly a down payment on the cost for the taxpayers of Waterloo. Because on top of that $165 million, you're going to need to run a water main, a new water main. And I understand that's coming from near the dog track all the way over to Downing Avenue. You've already started. You dug up the corner up here and worked on the water mains up there. The interest rate on this $165 million is 23-year high. The interest rate for these kinds of bonds are 23, it's the highest in 23 years. And you need another $12 million for the frog pond down here on the corner. Pardon me if I call it that, because I've lived here 50 years and I know what it is. And you're over at East High, you just built new athletic fields. You had a fund drive to build them. Residents donated. You built all those new sports things. Now you're going to build some more up here. It never ends. The roundabout down here that the school has recommended, there's nothing in this $165 million for that roundabout. What's that roundabout going to cost the citizens of Waterloo? If you don't pay it, I pay it. I pay it if the school pays it. I pay it if the city pays it. So I don't know what a roundabout costs. Some of you probably do. And the new entrance down here, the city suggested, you're going to have to tear up Katowski Drive from Downing to Huntington because you're going to pull out the island and make an inlet there. Stoplights. You need stoplights at that intersection. That's going to add to the cost for the city, for the school. It's just financially, it's not a good idea. This is about funding. I realize that you found a way around a vote of the citizens, unless we get a petition with over 2,000 signatures in 12 days, 15 days. I would like to see you folks put this on hold. I don't disagree with putting the schools together. It's too much at this time. You got people here in Waterloo that are losing their jobs every day. You see it in Waterloo. A lot of those jobs are high-end jobs. The engineers at Deers, they're not going to stay in Waterloo because there's not enough engineering jobs. Unfortunately, it would be wonderful if they all had a place to go and stay here. But I'm sure they're going to have to sell their home and move to other states. And this is just another burden on those folks and myself. Thank you kindly and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Roger? My name is Marvin Carroll. I live at 607 East Airline Highway, Waterloo. I'm pretty much a lifetime resident here. Graduated from East High School in '69. UNI in '73. Gentlemen, I compliment you and I second the motion on everything you said. First concern would be, what about student safety? How have you included that? In such a large establishment, you're going to have larger calls, larger groups, larger cliques, larger parking lot. And I doubt things have changed much from when I was in school. One of the big things after school was to see who could get out of the parking lot first. Who could light their cigarette at the same time? Now it's going to be who can be on their telephone texting while they're trying to race out of the parking lot. Small details, unless it's one of your children that are killed. You can have the added expense of additional busing. Consider that. If they don't ride the bus, they've got to buy the gas to get themselves there. Everybody, East High, West High, let's all go somewhere else. You mentioned the new track and field they'd have to have. Well, how about a baseball diamond? Is that included? And I apologize if I don't know all these facts, but feel free to step up and correct me. Maybe you can help me understand. The 1% sales tax that was originally promoted, passed, voted on, was to improve the conditions of the existing schools. Did they rearrange that and change it so they could spend more money to build new schools? Yes? No? Maybe? I don't know. Referring to the gentleman that just spoke, can you imagine what your property value is going to go like when you have all this extra traffic around here? I doubt very much that it's going to go up. By eliminating friendly competition between East High School and West High School now, and in the past, you're going to standardize all of them. You can't help it. You're taking away their individuality. I go to such and such a school, the only one in Waterloo. So what? And then I'll just address this 14-day policy. I understand you didn't set it about the petitions. No, that wasn't your decision. You just have to follow the rules. But I agree, it's a pretty short time to get all those signatures that someone needs. The last thing I should have started with is, are they going to build onto Central? Are they going to remodel Central? I was always under the impression they were going to put up a new school. Am I all off base there? Can anybody answer the question?
We'll have an opportunity to answer questions once you complete your questions.
I didn't mean to take up all of your time. The gentleman ahead of me covered a lot of it. One last question. I heard over the news months ago that there was a proposal to spend $2 billion on air conditioning for East High School and West High School. Was that ever acted upon? It was? Was it approved?
Yeah,
It was approved?
yeah.
Okay. And will that be funded through this 1% sales tax that it was talking about? Through the bonds that are talking about now?
No. We'll answer that if you complete your statements.
I'll excuse myself
No,
now.
we're
Thank you
writing
for
it
your
down, I
time.
promise.
Pardon me?
We're writing the answers down, I promise.
All right, will you answer those questions before we go?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much for your time. I mean, no disrespect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, my name is Dwight Dirks, and I live at 810 Lisa Drive in Waterloo here. I'm asking for to vote no for this property, for this resolution of $165 million to redo the high school here. To me, one of the main reasons is that the public does not get a chance to vote on it. This was last year when the school board elections came around. All the school board candidates were in favor of improving education. Improving education, nobody talked about spending $165 million on high school. So we didn't hear about it until November came around and the election was over. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to spend $165 million. Okay. And to me, that is not the way the school board should work. They should get input from the public, especially for this big an expenditure. Let's see. So one thing about this, the funding, a lot of the funding for this is going to come from the SAVE program, which is Secure and Advanced Vision for Education. And I believe this money can be spent for infrastructure, which would be a school building, and also can be done to reduce property tax. Okay? So I'm in favor of reducing property tax. Maybe not reducing property tax, but spending money on education and not charging the public for those improvements. You could go ahead and decrease class size, increase teacher pay without increasing property tax, if some of this money would go there. And the way it looks to me is that Waterloo gets about $15 million a year from this fund, from the state, for sales tax. One wouldn't expect you to spend all the money on education improvements, but certainly a major part of it could go there. Because we know Waterloo schools are in the bottom part of the school level rankings in Iowa. And so that's what I'm asking for. And by building a new school, it's not going to affect students very much. By the time they're in ninth grade, their academic status is pretty well set. You aren't going to make a big improvement by spending money on a high school here. Let's see. One thing, so you're going to consolidate schools. Right now you've got teams at West Side, you've got teams at East Side. We got more kids getting involved with athletics. We got more kids involved with band. We've got more kids involved with extracurricular activities. Isn't that what we want? You get rid of these programs, And what are the kids going to do? They're going to go home and sit on their cell phones, okay? If they're in a meeting, if they're on a team or something like that, they're going to be actively involved, making friends, working with people, learning how to being on a team throughout their life, which is very important in business nowadays. You don't go to business and sit in a cubicle, you work on a team. And I guess one thing I noticed is that the plant, property, and equipment tax, that's going up in 2027, the way it looks to me. We voted on it last fall. It passed. It's going from 0.67% to 1.34% in 2027. I would expect that some of the money is going to filter into the school. So property tax is planning to go up. And, so I think in the end, I'm going to go back to my request. Vote no. And as one gentleman said a little bit ago, why do we need to do it now? He said, when somebody said, well, if we've got if we have to sell bonds for $150 million and pay a 4% interest rate, that's $6 million a year. That's not going to go for education. That's going to the bondholders. And so why don't we spend that $6 million on education activities instead of a building that is not, in my point of view, is not absolutely needed. So I thank you for listening to me. I don't know if it makes any difference, but I thought I needed to get out here and make some comments.
Thank you, sir.
I've just been reading some things, and I had some questions on some figures.
Can you state your
As you
name?
can tell,
Can you state your name and address, please?
oh, my name's Carol Deeds, 1802 Orchard Drive, Cedar Falls, but I'm a graduate just a few years ago from East High. And if you believe that, you'll believe anything. Anyway, I mean about a few years. Proud performer in East High with my swing shows, and I have a question on this. Not only the money, they covered that very well. Anyway, but this 60 acres that you brought over here, that someone pointed out again, it's 500-year floodplain. I understand it was purchased for $729,800. And so I figured that out. At 60 acres, that's $12,163 an acre. That's really good money. And then I read on Blackhawk County, no, it's only 28 acres. So I thought, well, maybe you want to be careful how you're spending your money. And I think that this vote that they're talking about, you mentioned, Mr. Williams, that they have to have voted in the recent election? Or do they just have to be voters?
They have to be voters.
Okay. That was my question. Anyway, I am for keeping East High and West High, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Very good.
Ma'am, did you just clarify they have to be in Blackhawk County and live in Waterloo? I just want to be clear.
City of Waterloo voters.
Okay.
Yes.
District.
In the district. Waterloo School
The
District.
Waterloo School District, okay, just for clarity.
And municipalities.
So surrounding areas.
Yes.
Any eligible voter in the Waterloo School District.
Yes, sir, thank you.
I'm Ted Lieberman, 1758 Pinehurst Lane, Waterloo, Iowa. Superintendent Smith, it's good to see you. Did you tell Sandy that you've talked to me?
I passed it along.
Okay.
I did.
So in the 1950s, Waterloo was vying with Cedar Rapids to be the second largest city in Iowa. Now I'm looking at the top 5 cities in Iowa. Des Moines, 210,000, Cedar Rapids, 135,000, Davenport, 100,000, Sioux City, 85,000, Iowa City, 75,000, and Waterloo, I don't even know how it ranks, is 66,000 and has been declining for a number of years. Now, I question who is going to be the owners? Who are you selling the bond to? Is it to the state? Is it to institutions? Who is going to be the purchasers of the bonds? And then how much is the yearly amount that has to be paid on these bonds? How much does the Waterloo Community School System have to pay? Then the other question is how much money left over from the state after we deduct the amount of money that the school system has to pay back per year? How much is left for improvements on or upkeep of these school buildings? Okay, and then the other question is, the city school system gets the right to raise annually the real estate tax for the school system. So if I was here like a year ago, the school board voted to raise the real estate tax in Waterloo for the school system because of increasing costs. So I'd like to know, number one, who are going to be the owners of the bonds? How much money we get yearly from the state from this 1% tax for the school system? How much money is going to be left over for the maintenance of our buildings? And then what is the chances that we're going to have continued rise in real estate tax based on the school system's allowance to raise taxes, real estate taxes, every year? And then another question is, how many years in the past 10 years has the tax been raised by the school system on residents in Waterloo? Thank you very much.
Do we have anybody else that would like to speak to the board for the public hearing?
I'll say something. I'm Heidi Warrington. I live at 525 Martin Road in Waterloo, Iowa. I'm a graduate of West from 1973. I thought I was going to be in favor of this because I thought having one high school might finally crack the code on some of the racial divides that have plagued our city ever since there was East Waterloo and West Waterloo. But the money is a bitch, sir. It is so much money. And with the layoffs of John Deere's that are happening, there is a lot of concern. Is it even going to be affordable to live in Waterloo year after year with all this going on? That's my only comment.
Thank you.
Dad, they're going to close it if you want to speak. Okay.
James Lewis, 1207 Edgewood Drive. I live right in your backyard, and I've been broken into 3 times from school kids stealing our bikes and vandalizing in the backyard, the fences. I want to know if they're going to do anything to maybe help secure that back wall there. I know you have trees with fence. When you guys cut down all that other stuff, it just made a clearer path for the kids to get through. I just want to know if you guys are thinking about the people who live over there at all when it comes to combining these schools. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else that would like to?
I'm Evan Holtman. I grew up in Waterloo. My children, all of my children went to West Waterloo. I'm a graduate of East Waterloo. I've been honored to be involved in many of the issues that we're dealing with here again today. As a resident, first of growing up in the school, but of later practicing law as my here in Waterloo. And in that capacity, I spent a lot of time and a lot of efforts, like each of you around this table, in this very important issue that we're dealing with today. I'm concerned, as has been pointed out by a number of the previous speakers, of the timeliness. And when I speak of timeliness, I'm referring to those things which many of the individuals before me referred to. There's a time for everything, but I'm really concerned about this moment and what the costs are of that 99-year-old like me who's just having a difficult time with that meager income that she has and Social Security. As any of us around this room know anything about the Social Security law, the Social Security law is not going to take care of that 60 or 70 or 80 or 90, let alone 99 like me myself. As I had a birthday a few weeks ago, and I'm now going on 100. I'll never see 99 again. Because when you look at all the tax situation, if you aren't concerned about what your decision-making is you really haven't been honest and fair about it. Because as I look at the Waterloo Courier, and my daughter doesn't agree with me a lot of the time, but when I look at that headline, it says that that tax is going up 16% this year. And it has been going on. Now, any 75 or 80 or 90-year-old woman isn't going to be able to be living on that kind of taxation as it continues. And that's only one of the many taxes, unfortunately. You also have your own tax that you're dealing with and need to deal with, and you are dealing with it as a school board who are looking at also increased taxes. Now, I'm here because I say it's not the time facing John Deere laying off in numbers. And that has a repercussion which follows when you lose X number of officers in a corporation on this hand, like the wonderful success of John Deere. It impacts down the road, and it is at the end of that tail examination, including that poor old lady who's got to make the ends meet and has to meet them with less money in the process, with the increases that we're seeing, including, I hate to say this, but including each of you around this table in making your decision with reference to taxes to schools and what the school taxes are. How have they been yesterday? What are they today? And what are they going to be tomorrow? So I would make this request on behalf of all of these speakers, every taxpayer in this room and every taxpayer in Waterloo, in the various school systems, but in particular now that we're here in the educational system, that give us a report out there in a day or two or three or four of all of the expenditures in the general areas that your board are going to make and have to make and should make. Because as one speaker said something about $1 million to East Waterloo and West Waterloo just for one item alone. And then you keep adding all of these other expenses in the process. As that old politician in Illinois said one time, you start adding them up and pretty soon you're talking about real money. And so all I'm here is saying, in my judgment, timeliness has a great deal with the issue, and I think it's only fair for the decision makers, not just 5 of the 7 of you, but but for those thousands and thousands of taxpayers who are the ones who are ultimately going to pay the 165 million plus. And the reason I say plus, because in dealing with your issue of taxation all my life, growing up until it became a life I had to pay with taxes because I was a property owner, and still do today, even at 99 going on 100, it's important that the decision makers, and they're not just you, they're not 5 of the 7 you alone, or 7 of you 7, but each of you as the decision makers. It's all those that are going to be the taxpayers out there paying the bill. And so it's important, very important, I think, for you to lay before the public, so the public, the taxpayers who make this ultimate taxation issue, your issue, you got to pay it in the process. But the bottom line is, we, the taxpayers, are going to have to make the play. And so give us out there what all those items are about that 1 million and 1 million, and you add up and you add up and you add up here. I quit counting the other day, but I counted 6 taxpayers that I didn't even know existed or I'd never heard of before that are in the school system, and we're going to have to pay those because already you've made that decision for a year ago and nearby. So thank you for the difficult decision that it is for you and all of your decisions, but I humbly request of you that you tell us not just 165 million, but tell us what all those other taxation items are, because they're substantial. And the one thing that I don't quite figure out in that then is how come it is that for $3.5 million, we're going to make all these expenditures, but for 165, we're going to make also that 165. So just tell us what all the taxes are and give us the opportunity then to make the decision. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you, sir.
And happy birthday.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board?
Can I speak one more time?
Make it brief.
Oh, I will be very brief.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, that's fantastic. I have a couple questions. Number one is this going to be the largest school in Iowa? And why is it going to be the largest high school in Iowa if we're not even in the top 5 for population? And number two, reading the Courier, Cedar Rapids had a bond vote for the school system. Cedar Falls had a bond vote. How many other systems are having bonds without a vote for the citizens to authorize it? Are there any other cities in Iowa that are doing what we are doing here? In other words, having a bond without the participation of the citizens voting on it. And why is that?
Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else that would like to address the board for the public hearing?
Can I get up and speak again for a minute?
All right, this is the last
I
one.
know it's out of order.
Make it extremely brief, sir.
So, one thing about buildings and stuff, I don't know if you build homes or anything like that, model or anything like that. It takes a lot of time to do that.
Can.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
If you remodeled your home or build a home or anything like that, it takes a lot of time. And so I would like the administration to work on improving education rather than spending a quarter or a third of their time deciding on, oh, where's this restroom going to go? How big are the classrooms going to be? All the stuff that happens day after day after day. You know, we're going to, by building on a school, it takes a ton of time. You, the board members, are going to really get in. Well, I guess you've probably been through this before because you've built a number of elementary schools and stuff like that. But focus in on the education side and not the building side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
One quick question, please. And I don't even know if this is legal, maybe you can help me out in this situation. All those here...
Sir, can you come up, sir, can you come up to the microphone and address the board?
Excuse me, didn't even know there was a microphone. We're starting again. I don't know if it's even legal to do this, but I'm asking anyone that is sitting out here...
Sir, this way.
Oh,
Address the board.
excuse me.
Yep, you're fine.
If there's anyone sitting behind me that would be willing to pay or sign a petition if it was presented to them, could they do that right now before they leave tonight?
You could probably get some legal advice on that if you wanted to, but
Yeah.
we're not qualified to give that legal advice.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I understand, sir.
And we'll finish with the meeting. Thank you. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
What about the questions you were going to answer?
We'll close the public hearing,
and then
and
answer
then
the questions.
we'll get to that. We'll close the public hearing first,
questions part of the public hearing?
because it's not,
This isn't a back and forth.
it's not
It's a
back and
public
forth.
hearing.
We can close the public hearing. We won't vote until later in the meeting. So we'll close the public hearing first.
All right.
Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Miles seconded.
And this is a roll call vote, so I'll start to my left. Director Mills?
Aye.
Director Knight?
Aye.
Director Schmidt?
Aye.
Director Ewing?
Aye.
Director Matlock?
Aye.
Director Cox? Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carried to close the public hearing. The next item on our agenda is information from individuals and delegations. Before I read the long spiel, is there anybody that wants to address the board on something other than the public hearing? Seeing none, can I get a motion to? Oh, and that was for information only.
Yeah.
So now we'll move on to our consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of 3 items: approval of minutes of the July 8, 2024 regular board meeting. Item 2, personnel appointments and adjustments. And item 3, bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings. Are there any items that board members want to remove?
I would like to move number 2.
Item 2.
Item 2.
Any others? Can I get a motion to put items 1 and item 3 on the table?
Again.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to item 3? Or item 2, excuse me, item 2. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
And Director Matlock?
I would like to abstain from this vote.
No. Does anybody else have any discussion? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried with 1 abstention. The next item on our agenda is for information only. Excuse me, this is for vote. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve as its top priorities for the 2024 session of the General Assembly the following resolutions: student achievement, school safety, teacher recruitment and licensure, dropout, at-risk, and mental health.
So moved.
Second.
So I'll give a few details, and then Pam, you can chime in if you feel the need. The Iowa Association of School Boards requests from each member district its top legislative priorities, and we are recommending that the Waterloo schools consider a minimum of these priorities. Student achievement. Iowa students benefit from rigorous content standards and benchmarks that reflect the real-world knowledge and skills students need to graduate from high school, prepare for college, trade school, military service, or to enter the workforce. We support state policies too. School safety. Every student and staff member should have a safe and secure environment in which to learn and work, and we support state policies. Teacher recruitment and licensure. A highly skilled teacher workforce is essential to student achievement and can be supported by state policies act. The dropout at-risk rate. School boards strive to provide every student with the services they need to remain in school, progress, and graduate to become productive citizens. We support these state policies. Mental health. Mental health issues are increasing and impact student achievement. To address these concerns, we support state policies that will establish comprehensive school and community mental health systems to offer preventative and treatment services. Okay.
So just to follow up a little bit to board, these are priorities that are sent out by the Iowa Association of School Boards every year. They send their list out. These will go before the delegate assembly at the ISB convention in November for discussion. So we will have a representative. I believe Crystal will be our representative there. So Waterloo, based on our enrollment, is about 15 votes, and we will be able to vote on those priorities at that convention. So our priorities will be set to IASB 20.
And this is a yearly.
It's a yearly. Yep.
It's cool being the delegate. Really, it's an interesting experience.
Do you have any questions or comments on that? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to our next item on the agenda. The resolution supporting the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million in school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve as its top priorities for the 2024
Yeah, it doesn't match up on the online.
Probably learn just to something.
All right. So I'll go. Yeah, go back to the paper copy. That technology. Item 9 on the agenda. Resolution supporting the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the resolution supporting the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll give a few details. The district proposes to issue approximately $165 million in school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds for the purpose of providing funds to convert Central Middle School building into a new high school building, including constructing additions and related remodeling, and improve the site, including cost of issuance and a debt service reserve fund if required by the purchaser. Any bond proceeds remaining after completion of this project will be used for other school infrastructure projects as authorized by the district's revenue purpose statement. Iowa Code Section 423F.42 requires that the Board of Directors hold a public hearing on the proposed issuance of sale bonds, which we did, and that the electors be given 14 days following the hearing in which to file a petition with the board secretary requesting an election on the bond issuance. The petition must be signed by eligible electors equal in number to not less than 100 or 30% of those voting at the last preceding election of school officials under Iowa Code Section 277.1, whichever is greater. If a valid petition is not filed within the 14-day period following the public hearing, no action may be brought questioning the legality of the bonds, the authority to issue the bonds, or any of the proceedings in connection with the issuance of the bonds. 2 meetings are required to complete the hearing process for the proposed bond issuance. The actions to be taken at each of the following meetings are as follows. The first meeting was on July 8th, and the second meeting is today. This is the resolution to be considered. Resolution supporting the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. Whereas the school district receives revenue from the state of Iowa, secure and advance vision for educational fund save revenue pursuant to Iowa Code Section 423F.2, and whereas pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 423F and an election duly held in accordance therewith on March 3rd, 2020, approving a revenue purpose statement, the revenue purpose statement, the Board of Directors is currently entitled to spend saved revenue for school infrastructure purposes, and whereas the Board of Directors is in need of funds for the following school infrastructure project: to convert Central Middle School building into a new high school building, including constructing additions and related remodeling, and improve the site, including cost of issuance and debt service reserve fund if required by the purchaser. And whereas the Board of Directors has deemed it necessary and advisable that the district issue school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds, which may be issued in one or more series over multiple fiscal years pursuant to Iowa Code Sections 423F.2 and 423F.4 in the approximate amount of $165 million for the purpose of providing funds to convert Central Middle School building into a new high school building, including constructing additions and related remodeling, and improve the site, including cost of issuance and a debt service reserve fund if required by the purchaser. Any bond proceeds remaining after the completion of this project will be used for other school infrastructure projects as authorized by the school district's revenue purpose statement. And whereas the Board of Directors has compiled with the provisions of Iowa Code Section 423F.4 by providing notice and holding a public hearing on the proposal to issue such bonds. Now, therefore, it resolved, the Board of Directors supports the proposal to issue approximately.
No, just start that.
Now, this is the time of any board members.
Can answer the questions?
Yes, yes.
All right, how are we gonna?
Can I start with a really general one?
Okay. A lot of the questions that people had in this room this evening were answered in the months leading up to this meeting by a series of meetings, informationals. I don't know, what else would you call the things that you set up and held, Jared? What were all those meetings?
We had
Public meetings.
town hall meetings.
Town hall meetings.
Public forums.
And can you give me some of the topics of those town hall meetings that you did? I know there was one on
We can
student
give
safety.
we can give the audience kind of a rundown here. So just to be clear, and again, just want to make sure, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Leading up to this, there have been a lot of these meetings, which I've seen a number of you at. We did hold 6 town hall meetings. 2 were at the ESC, which is our admin building. One was here. I think I saw a number of you here at the WCC for a town hall meeting. Town hall meeting was held at Cunningham, Pointer, and Kittrell. On top of that, we had either 7 or 8 work sessions in which each work session had a different focus. Off the top of my head, some of the focuses were safety was one of the focuses at one of the meetings. Academics, we had some focus on just where the academic trend is at in the district. Sheena, who's in the audience, led our team through a really informative discussion on attendance. Dan discussed some of our athletics updates and what that would look like. I'm just looking around the room. There's all kinds of people here who supported this. We had a discussion about what it would look like if we combined East and West. We also brought in the principals from Expo and the WCC to kind of have a well-rounded discussion. We had 2 lengthy discussions on budget. I know there's a lot of questions on, and again, I don't blame, it's hard to get to meetings. We've had great coverage from the Courier as well as KWWL. KCRG's been here a couple times too, so thank you guys for coming. But we had 2 two-hour sessions where we talked about the budget questions. Doesn't mean we can't answer those questions again, which we will. Trying to think if there's any that I missed. Amy?
We talked about
Busing, transportation was another one.
Climate and culture.
Climate and culture in the district. So again, I don't want anybody in here, and again, it's nearly impossible. When you talk about 14 public meetings, it's impossible to get to all those. I know we're all busy. But I do want to say that I feel like the board has challenged myself and our leadership team to come to them with those answers. We've done the best we can. It's still hard for us to know 4 years out what that's going to look like. But I do feel like, and if you look around the perimeter of the room, you see about 20 members of our leadership team and school administrators who have been working nonstop, and I'm not joking when I say nonstop, to try to get those answers as best we can. I look over at Jeff, who's our CFO, who took over for Michael. Coughlin passed away earlier this year. Jeff, and I know as you heard some of those questions, you're probably like, I know that. We'll give you a chance to answer those here in a second, because those are our questions that I want to make sure our community hears. But you asked some great questions that we have wrestled with for many months. And I want to be clear, and again, you've probably heard me say this discussion did not start back in November of 2023. This discussion, and I can look around the room, there's a number of people who were involved in a task force that started meeting in as early as 2012 about what to do with the high schools. At that time, East High and West High were aging. They've aged 12 more years since then. But I want to be clear that this was not just like something that was just thrown together in late 2023. This has been a discussion. I was an assistant principal at East High in 2012, and I remember when this committee was meeting, the high school task force was meeting to discuss the future of the high school. So I want to be clear, and I get it, perception's reality. There's a perception at times that maybe this feels quick, but in my opinion, there's been a lot of work that's done leading up to this past 2 years. And even this past 2 years, I want to commend one more time, not only the group that's out there, but the board members for how much time we've spent to get to this point. I didn't know if we'd actually ever get to July 29th. It seemed like forever away. But yeah, thank you for asking that question, Janelle. I do feel like we've had a number of opportunities for the public to come in. Some people will say we don't have enough, we should do more, but in talking with other communities who've gone through similar processes, hosting 14 community forums is above and beyond compared to what most other districts do. So with that being said, I know we've got some answers for you guys that I would absolutely want to go into, because these are things we thought about that we feel like are in favor of the community. So I don't know where you want to start.
We'll try to tag team this as best as possible.
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to everybody who spoke, and please know that you were heard, and that these are things that we discussed too, and not just in the meetings, and people who've reached out one-on-one. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your experiences and your thoughts and what you hope happens and how it'll work. It matters. We were elected by you guys to represent you all. So hearing your voices it matters. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacey. I got a couple, and I'll start off, and then I'll pass it over to Lyle and Jeff. I think one of the questions was, is the resolution, or is it to build onto Central Middle School? Central was remodeled. It opened. The new remodeled Central building opened in January of this year. So that current building will go with the new remodel as proposed. That's the answer to that. So the current Central was already remodeled. So it'll be a structure built around that building as well. So
it'll be one building.
It will be one building
Expanded.
included with the current Central building.
Do we have any other renderings that we can show or anything, Jerry?
That might be beyond the scope of the time that we have for this,
But they are available online. That's what I mean.
The renderings of the building,
they're on Facebook.
which include current Central, are available. The east and west air conditioning units, I think that question was asked as well, are currently in the process of being done through PEPAL funds. So those were approved earlier this spring, I believe, and they're currently being worked on, the air conditioning units. I don't think that price point that was mentioned is the correct price point. I don't have the exact numbers, but it wasn't that. Yep. But they are being currently worked on.
It was about $1 million total for the two buildings, I believe.
It was a little less. It was a little less for one of them. I don't know.
But it was quite a bit less than that, than the $2 million price point that was mentioned, but they are being currently worked on.
That was the number I heard over the radio.
Okay.
You're right. It's for both.
Yes, they are currently being worked on. Air conditioning.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And it will complete air conditioning for the district. Those are the only two buildings that don't have complete air conditioning.
East High School and West High School.
Yeah.
So every other building is air conditioned.
It doesn't matter when we get hot, we send us home.
I remember that.
No more of that.
How is that being paid for?
PEPAL.
Through PEPAL funds.
PEPAL is a different tax fund.
The land levy, that was mentioned.
Is that raising our taxes if it's a tax thing?
This is existing tax.
but it's really not connected to what we're talking about here tonight.
Yeah, it's separate funding.
Well, it is if it's already increasing taxes, because that's part of
It's not connected to what we're voting.
No, it's not increasing taxes, it's using what we have. That's a different like silo of money. So it's using what we already have.
Yes. You want to take the next couple?
Sure.
I've got a quick one about the community and the jobs. I know that I'm not a 100% predictor, but everything that we've talked to about leaders in the community says that doing this with the Central High School is one of the best things that we can do to bolster and build our community and bring new jobs into our community. So I know there's a concern out there that, hey, we're losing jobs, why are we doing this? We have to make our town so attractive. And we've started doing that with the WCC and all that stuff, but having the central high school with everything in one place, brand new, attracting new teachers, doing the best schooling that we can possibly do is one of the things that people and companies look for when they come into a new community. So I believe that is a push forward for Waterloo and not a step back.
Thank you. Largest school in Iowa? No. Fourth? Will we be? Something like that. Linn-Mar, I think, is the largest.
West Des Moines Valley.
West Des Moines Valley.
West Des Moines Valley is the single
It's in that range. The closest other district to the structure we're proposing is Waukee. Waukee has a 10-12, an 8-9, a 6-7, and they passed Waterloo a couple years ago in terms of total population. So I think it's
a number of the Des Moines public schools are 2,000 plus.
Three of the 5 Des Moines high schools are larger, so maybe it's 6 or 7.
Because what would the population count be for this? What's the target?
We're looking at just shy of 2,000 students.
And like West High has had that, close to that many times, just alone. So it's not like an unheard of amount even for our district to have that many people.
Yeah, West High's just even recently has been hovering around 1,700 students.
Yeah.
So we're looking at about 200 more, 250 more.
Question was, how much do we receive each year?
Approximately 12 to 13 million. It's been going up every year.
12 to $13 million.
From SAVE.
From SAVE.
From SAVE, yeah. The bond, have any other district done this? I don't know. This is the 11, 12, 13, 14th building, new building that we've built with this SAVE money. In 2016, we had a bond vote to raise taxes. That's why you have a vote. It's the community's authorization to raise taxes.
To build this, right? Was it to build the career center? That's how that was for.
To build a career center. The community, and I attended most of those meetings, said, you're directionally correct, you're on the right track. We need hands-on learning. We need skilled trades, carpenters, plumbers, IT, culinary. We need all that. Do it, but don't raise our taxes. Okay. That was the beginning. We started here because we had, this used to be a high school. When we lost all the students, it was no longer high school. So we had these bays over here that were used for auto mechanics and all that. And so that's all we had. We didn't have any money, but we had some space. So the program started there with 2 programs, 3 programs in the following year. So we've had 6, 7 years now of experience, but don't raise our taxes is still the mantra that we're operating under. So by using SAVE money, waiting until we were capable of funding it without raising taxes is exactly what we've done. So that's why taxes are not being raised. It's your tax money, but it's already baked into the law that the state raised the sales tax from 5% to 6% in 2008 and said this money can only be used to build or remodel, build new or remodel school buildings, and it's in existence until 2050, through 2050. So regardless of what happens here tonight, we're all going to pay that extra 1% of sales tax. We'll pay 6% instead of 5. Locally it's 7 because of the street 1% tax, but the state tax is 6%, and that's going to occur through 2050, as I said, really regardless.
So it's your tax money, but it's not raising taxes any more than it's already baked in. So,
Can't be used for teacher salary.
no, and that cannot be used for operating costs at all.
Got a question out here.
No questions. No questions. We're finished that part.
The owner of the bond, that's the successful bidder. This is put out for public bid, and whoever gives the best price is the one who will own the bond. How many years? In the past 10 years have we raised taxes? 2. One?
I was saying one, there might be two.
One or 2?
So I just forwarded you guys the last 10 years worth of text.
What's the answer?
So up until this year, not once.
In 10
1 year stayed the same.
1 year was flat.
Oh, in terms of staying the same, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then only this last year. And I think the total we're down,
Oh, we
Because it decreased, didn't it?
We went down, again, we pull all the data, like, when you compare us versus the 10 largest school districts in the state, where we decreased, I think us and Des Moines were
The Des Moines schools.
we had the two biggest decreases. I mean, all the data spoke to us being very fiscally responsible with our tax rate.
I think we're about 12% below where we were.
Yeah, it's gone from right off the top of my head, around $17 per down to 13 something.
Oh, so we're a little bit more than that.
Which, I'm just going to say one thing. In the era of COVID, in the era of increased inflation, in the era of all these things going on, what we were able to do for those 10 years was an anomaly as compared to other districts as we looked across the state and in the area. So
So in 2014, it was 15.98, and it's down to 13.36 currently.
There were several comments regarding why don't you just improve education? This is that plan. I'm going to talk a little bit more when we have our speak time about a specific instance. This plan is developed over several years by all the specific separate interests. They've all had their input. It's been molded to improve education in every facet that we can. Like I say, there's one specific area that really needs improving, and I'm going to speak to that later. But in speaking general to your question, in terms of timeliness, you've heard the term, hope for the best, plan for the worst. This is plan for the best and plan for the worst. And the worst is unpredictable, but from 1970 to the year 2000, our enrollment dropped 2% per year from 19,800 students to about 11,000 students. So we have experienced that, and we're always in uncertain territory. That was when John Deere and Rath were in trouble. We don't know how that's going to, but this plan to combine into one high school mitigates, allows us the efficiency, so we're not duplicating courses. As if the district does shrink, being one location, one high school, is more cost effective. You can more easily, if you don't have critical mass of a particular course at one school or the other, combined, you do. So one staff, one administrative staff, one everything is financially, from an operating standpoint, more cost effective. Not to mention the energy efficiency of the newer buildings. This district is about half the national average in terms of energy used per square foot because of the 14 buildings we've built so far. They're all on geothermal. They've all been, it's been part of the design. as has the maintenance. All our roofs, except one, are 30-year warranty roofs. So we've kind of baked that in. Every time we build a new building, minimize the maintenance, minimize the energy, minimize all the non-classroom costs. So we want to continue to benefit from that philosophy by going to a new school that has all those features. In the future, if we have to shrink back, what you don't want to do is wait until the shrinkage occurs and then scramble. I've been part of that before, where you all have to cut courses, and then if you cut course at one school, do you cut it at the other? So that's just, it speaks to the efficiency of why now. We're in a position to do what we proposed in 2016, following the public input from all those. We now can do it. And like I say, I don't have any other questions here that I wrote down.
Can I talk about just the interest rate? You said, so it's going to be about what are we looking at, maybe 4?
Yeah, I think the 10-year today finished at 4.16 or something like that. And we're usually going to be a half a point below that maybe. So it's looking like hopefully it'll be under 4, but.
And then part of that then is it's not all at once, but we're not selling. How much is the first one looking at files at 65?
15 million.
Oh, 15 for the first?
No less than 15.
Okay. And then also what happens is that money goes into our bank and we get to earn interest on it while we have it. And we just redid can you talk about that? We just got back.
We're required every 5 years to go out for bids for banking services. We just renewed our relationship with
louder, please?
Sure. Every 5 years, we're required to go out for bids for our banking services. We just renewed our relationship with Farmer State Bank. The interest rate we're going to earn on our accounts is tied to the prime rate, but at the current time, we're earning over 5% on our accounts.
So that money, even though we're paying interest on it, because it sits in our account until we use it, we get to earn money.
We're earning interest at a rate that's probably going to be higher than what we're going to pay out in interest.
Things here. So over the course of this, investigations of this combining high schools, I've had more people in the community come up to me say that they would actually consider leaving the district if we don't go forward with this plan. A lot of these families are families with younger children. They want to see one school. They want better opportunity for their children. And if we don't go forward, they're going to really kind of rethink this is where we want to be at. Kind of opposite of what the general thought message is. So in my circles, that's what I hear is that, the kids already know each other. A lot of kids are friends. You're sort of going forward with that. Lyle's comments on operational efficiency, definitely, I agree with everything you said there in terms of, we have really small class sizes and some specialized classes. We have instances right now where students have to travel from either east or from west to the opposite building to be able to take classes, but we do not have enough students to host a particular class in there. I think it was AP Calc and AP Bio were on the list maybe this year, not having enough students at one of the buildings to offer that class, and forcing those students who want to take that to move. We're at a building for a period. What happens when we move a student from building A to building B for a period? They essentially lose a class period of academics because there's transportation time, whether it's self-provided or you have to bus that. Very similar here with the Waterloo Career Center. A student who comes here has to use 2 class periods to be able to access the class here. If you're a student that is taking a lot of electives, maybe they're in band, maybe they're in JROTC, one of the other programs, one of the arts programs, JB, IB classes, they don't have the opportunity because they're not, with those programmings, they don't have time to give them the elective space to come here. They lose the opportunity. If those kids are located here, that class period arrangement changes. Now, instead of losing a period, they can get out from one period and get that. And I mean, that goes for a wide spectrum of children. The other children in that kind of same bucket sometimes are the children who are behind on credits. You get behind on credits when you're a freshman, which we hate to hear that, but it happens. These are young children, they make mistakes sometimes, and maybe don't perform well in class, or maybe there's another reason they struggle in class. Once they get behind the next year, they're having to take the same classes again. Well, can't fit it in your schedule, can't go out. Then you get to your junior, senior, and they're still kind of behind. They're trying to graduate, but they can't get here. By removing that barrier, we have kids that can access classes here who may be behind on their credits, but they still can have access. And maybe that's the access they need to drive and succeed, because a lot of times when the students are struggling, you just need a different class format. They need a different educational setting, a hands-on, something else to help motivate them, encourage them, inspire them to do better. And my personal background, I'm an engineer, degree engineer, and I look at it as kids doing engineering, they usually think about AP classes, IB classes, advanced classes. They don't get a chance to come out here. What I realized in my career was I wish I had taken a year of machine shop, learn better to be a machinist before I went into engineering. It would help me greatly. Now look at the same kids, they could benefit from taking a machine shop class or an electrical class here as you're going into electrical engineering. But you're taking the classes you need to be taking for those, the calculuses, the AP physics, AP chemistry. You don't have time or schedule to get here. So this opens up efficiency to allow more of that. We talk about duplication, and duplication has been something that's been a challenge since I've been involved in the school district. Any facility improvement we do at one high school, the next question was, what are we doing at the other? To make sure both of them are equal. And we should be equal, to make sure that's the case. But by elimination of some of the duplicate work we have to do, I think it's going to just make a better improvement. What does the Career Center do here? The number was, I think, and somebody can correct me, is somewhere in the low 90s graduation rate for a student that takes one WCC career class. A student that does not take one of the classes, the graduation rate is somewhere in the mid-70s. One class over here changed that much in graduation rate from the data they're seeing. You look at the data they're providing, it's like, okay, to get more kids here, we're going to improve graduation rates, which is something that's going to go in this district for years. We got better, we slipped during COVID, but we think it would be even more. We're already making adjustments to that. We'll bring in some of the expo programming here next year to help that. We think children there will may engage differently in some of the classes here, at least a portion of them, and will help that. That's been one of our areas where graduation rates have been a struggle. There was a question on athletics. I've had 4 children in the district. I have 1 left. And right now I can tell you that as currently, 6 of 8 athletic programs are already combined between East and West because there are not enough numbers to field teams on both ones. I can tell you that 2 more teams were previously combined, were separated whenever East High went to a different conference, but honestly, the numbers have not been high enough in those 2 programs to support 2 different teams, 2 different sets of coaches. Duplication here, if we talk again. We talk about participation. Participation numbers are really low in a lot of these. There's a few sports that, yeah, it will impact. I mean, I won't deny that. But I would say right now there's 8 to 11 of 18 athletic teams that can be combined because of low numbers. There are other programs teams out there that cannot field a freshman team, a sophomore team, a JV team, and a varsity team like our peers in some of the other districts. They have a freshman team only and a varsity. So even with the teams that are there, the numbers have just been a struggle getting participation. And I don't see that's changing anytime soon. So lack of participation, I would even say, I think our band numbers, I think West Side Band at one time was well over 200 kids. I don't know what the East Side numbers are. They're not 200 kids combined in band now.
No, it's the 80s, right, for both?
90 and 80. Yeah, it's about 170 kids, 9 through 12. And just to pop in on fine arts real quick, there's no leaving fine arts kids out. So when the schools combine, those programs will only get stronger. They don't get to choose what A they're going to be in. They have to be in whatever A the school is in. We don't cut any of those kids. They would all come together and be way stronger fine arts programs than the two divided ones are right now. Thank you for mentioning that, Mr. Knight.
And probably more program offering, because some of those fine arts classes are smaller numbers. We could add some more. And so I look at it, there's every reason to go forward. Not, to me, a lot of our reasons to kind of stay where we're at here. You know, and I think we have the money that, you know, we found a way to do that, as Lyle has explained there. We're using existing tax dollars. We're not asking for more. We're using existing to build this. We just want to borrow it to build it early. It's our plan. And I guess just a comment to, I just want to say thank you to the staff, Dr. Smith and your staff, the countless hours of work that you put in to support this initiative. You've got us data, we've asked for data, you've got us numbers, you've been at meetings beyond the hours that you are here, taking time away from your families, and all that extra time is greatly appreciated in your efforts.
Okay, I'm fading fast, guys. I had a knee replacement 12 days ago, so I'm tired. So why did, I just need to say very clearly, this has never been an attempt to have an in-run around having a vote. That's not what we were doing, because the only way to have a vote, we can't just go to Grant Meter and say, hey, we want this on the ballot. We don't have that ability, because we weren't doing a bond vote to raise taxes. Yeah, because we weren't going to raise, so there was no way for that to happen. That's why we had all the meetings, and personally, I probably annoyed Jared quite a bit. I pushed back hard to make sure that we were getting the information we needed, and then it was getting out to the people who needed to see it. Emails that we've gotten and received, phone calls that I've had with people. I promise that this was we're trying to be as transparent as we can while building this, making this building happen in a way that doesn't raise property taxes. So who's going to be involved in the minutia of construction? That's not any of the DLT. We have, so who would be involved with the day-to-day? Because I appreciate that question. My dad, they built a house. Physically, I can build trusses. We physically built one. It took 6 years, but so I understand there's a lot involved. Sure. Can you address that, Jeff?
Well, we'll use Envision architects to design and be part of the process, but we'll also hire a general contractor who will be on site and manage the construction every day.
But we're still,
We're still the owner of the building, but we'll have a general contractor with that person's knowledge come on site to manage the project.
And we do have a director of operations that oversees these facilities.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about the academics, you guys addressed the 9th grade problem. So, and this is the model then that Waukee uses, right? So by doing the K-5, 6, 7, and then crucially, those 8, 9 academies at East and West, the importance of that is if those 9th graders, while they're there with 8th and 9th, we can make sure that they are not falling off in 9th grade, that they understand these credits count. When you're taking these classes now, it's not like in 8th grade where you take it, you don't pass it, and it's not the same thing. When you're in 9th grade, you're in high school. So by having those 2 grades together, because what is the attendance issues too in 9th grade? That's or our highest attendance issue is, correct? And what was the other one we were looking at?
Behavioral.
Yes.
Behavioral.
Behavioral. So having 8, 9 together where we can concentrate on those kiddos by themselves before throwing them into the 10, 12 mix, it gives them a much better opportunity to be on firm ground as they move forward. Will less kids be involved? Jesse addressed that beautifully. It's just a way to have more. It just is. And I understand. My dad graduated in '67, and he's had a lot of discussions from West, and he's had a lot of those discussions, like, well, aren't there going to be more kids on the sidelines? We'll be able to have a 9th grade team, a sophomore team. There's so many of our sports now. East High just this year finally had enough to have a freshman team. And I know that in, like, my dad's mind, he was thinking back to when he was there, and it was full. And even when in '92, like, there was no problems filling sports. But it is now. And fine arts, my son graduated in 2018, and my last one just graduated this last year. And the band, and they're all in the marching band. Marching band numbers went from almost 200 to 88. So it makes it much harder for those kids to get what they need and for the bands to be competitive. But like, my youngest, she's going to go march at UNI. More kids will want to do those things if they're part of a big band, if they're part of like a Linmar marching band, which is what we can do when we combine. How are we going to create a safer area for people living behind us? Thank you. I don't know, so thank you for bringing that up. That is definitely something that will be then on our radar. I have it written down. I will make sure.
I asked before and never got any answer.
Oh, you'll get one now. So, Jared, I'm tasking you with finding out how that's going to work and what we're going to do. And could you please, like, at the end, like, I may not make it to the end, but let Pam know who you are, okay? Because we do need to be accountable for that. We want our kids to not only be safe themselves, but to respect our community. Preserving our East High grad, we want to preserve all those traditions too. There is not going to be forgetting what the history of our district has been and how important it has been. Those things matter. It's going to be something that's part of what we do here. It'll also be part of that East Junior and West Junior. I went to West Junior. I was a proud West Junior. So you can still have those traditions in that 8-9 academy level, and then when we come here as well. I really do agree. Who brought up that the kids are doing all their stuff together and the clubs?
Mr. Wiggins.
My youngest daughter's dating a kid from East because she met him, or she found him on Instagram. They have a lot of interests together. They're both, when I was in school, you just didn't have those opportunities, right? I know, I'm sorry, I'm wordy, guys. I don't feel well. I think that's all. I just want to say that by voting tonight, I'm voting not just my conscience, but what I've taken in from everybody and from people I've spoken to. I've had to weigh it all. This is not throwing away what anyone else feels. It's just I have to do what's best for the kids moving forward. So.
I think I'll add one more thing.
No, go ahead.
Good point. No, the 8-9 configuration is 8th graders. We have a number of 8th graders that are taking high school classes already. Some cases we're able to put a high school teacher at a middle school building. Sometimes they have to go to what they call 0 hour. 0 hour means they have to get to school early, which is not an opportunity that every kid has. Not every kid has a parent that can go get them for 0 hour. And so
that's how Josie did Spanish.
Yeah, and so having these 8-9 configurations, if you have 8th graders that are advancing or ready to take high school classes, then they're already in setting they can do that. It's more equitable because you don't have to ask kids to come into 0 hour to do that because they can get it during a regular day. So there's some more efficiency there for, if kids are ready to take the classes, we can have opportunity to, otherwise now, if we do Spanish, now we got to go to all 4 middle schools to offer Spanish 1, a high school class 8th graders. And that, it's not easy because we don't have Spanish teachers in our buildings necessarily, or French. We're not thinking of doing French yet. But by having an 8-9 setup, we do get some efficiency there. It's an opportunity that some kids don't have today, whether it's because we don't have enough to be able to put it in the building or we have 0 hour or whatever. So there are definitely some new opportunities that more kids will get access to.
Sorry, can I add one more thing? So like when my dad was there, when I was there, like, and when my husband was in high school, part of what kept them hooked in was shop, auto. My husband liked working with wood and metal. We don't have the ability to offer those things in our high schools right now. So getting the kids here, we're hooking kids that wouldn't have been hooked. To get them, I don't know if you've all had the opportunity to see this whole building, and I hope we could make that happen. We can make it happen. But the things that are available, you walk through and it's just mind-blowing. The things that are available now for the kids to be able to cook, to use a CAD machine, to do things that there's no way we can make happen at East and West. So would Central be my first pick for where to put this building, the one high school? No, it would not. But that's where the Career Center is, and that's where our kids need to be. Okay, sorry guys, I'm done.
Thank you. As you guys can tell, we're heavy. You're right, my left. We're used to this. But thank you for your comments. One thing I mentioned before, just giving people the opportunity. This is a huge, huge thing for our community. So giving people the opportunity to speak and answer questions is huge for me in this process. So we're going to go to my right, your left. Any board comments on this side?
Didn't know we had. I didn't know we had to give more comments.
You don't have to.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but anyway, since everyone is giving comments, I did know about the bond issue rate interest. I didn't know about that. Standardizing the student. That kind of goes into the culture of what we're trying to do. School ranking is very important. I know our dedicated teachers, they fight and try to do the best thing for our kids. However, this has been going on since 2012, and I've been part of this community longer than 2012, and I haven't heard anything about one school until I got on this board. And so I'm not against building new schools. I'm just against information. And you got to quickly analyze it. And it's hard to analyze $165 million. It's hard. We hear all the good things that what it would provide. But I'm here to say, one of the things that came out tonight is cost effective. So if it's going to be cost effective, which I'm all for, why didn't we say that in the beginning? I just didn't hear that. Might have got me on that one. I could have swayed over on the cost effective in time. I just want to alert us that we have a hard road ahead of us. A hard one. Not an easy one, but a hard one. And it's going to be up to us as a board. It's going to be up to Jared and his team, and also everyone in the district.
we got to step up. We have to step up. This looks like this is going to go through. We're going to have to step up. And the way we have to step up is making sure information. How can a community not know about one school? That should have been floating around a little bit more. This is just my opinion. You know, I think I'm definitely in the middle, but swaying to is no. I think there needs to be more analyzing of what we need to do, of what that hard road is about. It's easy for us as a board to just say, look at the numbers, oh, here goes the facts, this and that. But looking at it at ground level, it might slightly look a little different. You know, my job gives me that inside advantage of working with kids. So I just want to go on the record and just say we have a hard road ahead of us. And I don't want to hear excuses of us not communicating to our public. Communicate. You know, I'm just not comfortable with that. You know, I'm pro sports. I played athletics in college. I'm pro sports. But one thing I'm more than pro sports is pro academics. I heard a little bit of academics, but I didn't hear a lot. And I think part of it has to be the fact that I was just on here. I don't have the time that each and every some of you have. So as we move forward, we're going to have to step it up. You know, and I'll say this last statement. I went to Springfield High in Springfield, Illinois. Graduated in 1986. My grandmother went to Springfield High in Springfield, Illinois. She graduated, I think it was 1921, 22. I look back in my hometown and guess what? Springfield High still graduating folks. All I heard was the negative. I didn't hear no alternative. I'm not saying to go with alternative. I'm just saying I like to see both sides. And in this process, I've heard one side. And if I only heard one side, as a community, how do they feel? So, you know, I respect everyone's opinion, and I ask you to respect mine.
Thank you, Director Cox. And I'm going to start with what you said. It is going to be a hard road. I totally agree with that. This is not, I don't think anyone believes that this is going to be easy. I didn't have time to prepare a dissertation because I didn't know I was speaking tonight. But, but I will say, we talked about spend more time to improve the education. I totally agree that that's what this is doing. It's improving the education for our students. I won't repeat what Director Stacy talked about with the comprehensive plan of, 8, 9, and all those things, because that's what I stand on. I'm not voting just for one high school. I'm voting for a comprehensive plan. K-5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then you go to 10, 12. Because it follows them for when they start in the Waterloo School District. There are systems in place right now that we have that will follow our kids all the way to graduation. And that's what I'm voting for, is that comprehensive plan. I totally believe that this place here is going to provide our students with opportunities that they did not have before. Is that going to take some work? Yes, it is. And it's going to take everyone to do that work. from the board, from the district leadership team, our administrators, our teachers, our community. So when we talk about the community, I thank all of you for coming tonight. Those that came throughout the town hall meetings and the work sessions, the numbers were limited. As we move forward with this process, if this vote passes, we need to see the community here talking about these different things when there's opportunities, because we need to know what you're feeling and what you want to talk about, what you want to talk about with athletics, combining the different things. That's going to be hard work. We need your input. So if this passes, I say let's pull up our boots, let's get the work done, because it is going to take work for all of us, every last one of us, to make our students be successful in this Waterloo Community School District. So thank you for the opportunity.
I'm a 95 West High grad, very, very proud Waterloo person who moved far away and then came back home after I finished my law degree. I was a teacher in the classroom in Texas for 7 years. I trust all the administrators in this room and all the studying and all of the degrees and all of these research work, hours they've put in. They are the experts on what needs to happen and what the current pulse of education is and how we're going to help these kids grow up, stay in Waterloo or come back like I did, and have great careers and great lives here. That's what we want, and that's what we're all working so hard for. And these people around this table and the DLT and the rest of the room, they really, really know what they're talking about, and they really, really know what kids need today. And I know that parents do too, and I know that we're not going to make everybody in this room or out there in the community happy. We're not going to create the absolute perfect education for each child in Waterloo. That's just not possible. We can do our very best to raise the level and make it the very best education for the most students that we possibly can, and that's what we're working on. We can't create a perfect solution for everyone. With the limited dollars that we get and the fact that we're not raising people's taxes, I think we're doing the very, very best we can. And we will continue to do that. And I appreciate everybody's input here tonight. And I know that hard decisions don't make everybody in the community happy, but after all of the meetings that we've had, all of the open sessions, all of the work sessions, all of the data from all of the administrators, I believe that what we're doing here, not just the high school, like Director Matlock said, but this entire plan of what we're going to do with our elementaries, junior highs, and high schools is going to be the best for kids. And that's why I'm going to vote yes tonight.
Thank you, Director Ewing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
This speaks to the urgency. Why now? Well, first of all, I've been on the board a long time, and I've seen boards that were
A long time. He's been on the board 30 years.
largely dysfunctional administrators that didn't really buy into every decision we make needs to be what's best for kids. Happily, this board, for a number of years now, and this administration, I think, are totally in alignment. What we need to do is what's best for kids. So now, how do you define that? I'm going to go into the 8-9 problem. I call it that. I'm almost reluctant to speak about it, but it speaks to the urgency of why we can't just do the same and why we need to change fundamentally our delivery of education as fast as we can, particularly for that group. Let me give you a little information here. In 23-24, of the 800 and some new freshmen, 34 of them earned 0 credits. 0. 76 kids earned 2. 10% of the kids earned 2 or fewer credits. You need 11 credits to become a sophomore. All right. 293 of the 800, 35% did not become sophomores. Wow. Okay? Wow. Now, 48% did very well. They earned 14 plus credits, 11. It's working for part of our student, but not at all. And that divide is widening. Dropouts. The number, we had 230 dropouts last year. And that, by the way, correlates with the number of ninth graders who earned 8 or fewer credits. So our total number of dropouts ultimately is predicted by how many students in ninth grade earn 8 or fewer credits. Not the same students necessarily, but it's a predictor. Last year, 69 freshmen dropped out. 46 males, 23 females. These are 14-year-old kids. 67 sophomores, 15-year-old kids. 63 juniors, 31 seniors. Finances was brought up earlier. That reflects a loss of $3.4 million per year in state aid. So that's part of the finance argument to go to one school. Our graduation rate last year was 72-ish%. That means 28% did not graduate. Our high school attendance rate was 80%. It was about 90% at the Career Center. Our absenteeism at the Career Center here is half of what it is overall. Our chronic absenteeism, and this is nationwide, statewide, we did improve it. Chronic absenteeism is if you miss 10 or more % of the days in the school year. It improved from 33% to 30%. 30% of our kids still miss 10 or more.
And we were using a lot of interventions as well to.
So every year, we've got 140 male and 90 female, 14 to 17-year-olds that go work. Can't get a job at that age, presumably on the street. So the larger loss here, other than the $3.4 million, is the human capital. And I think we need to connect the dots. These aren't Waterloo statistics, but if you use national statistics, you can sort of end up connecting the dots. 80% of incarcerated people did not graduate from high school. 80%. Average reading level is 8th grade. So that sort of fits the profile of these 9th graders who earned 0 credits, really 8th graders, who dropped out. Non-graduates, non-high school graduates are more than twice as likely to be incarcerated. So I don't know, you can't apply this directly, but I think the bottom line message is we have too many kids in the school to prison pipeline. When there's violent crime in this community, people get together and they say, do something. We've had a lot of people come to the podium over the years and say, you need to do something about the school to prison pipeline. So far, there's been no real solution, as these numbers indicate. But in the engineering world, there's a saying, a problem well defined is half solved. So we kind of know where to target our efforts. So what is the solution? So the proposal for consideration tonight, to me at least, the one high school is the most comprehensive solution with clear vision of success to address our dropout rate that is correlated to the pipeline present. So do something. This is it. This project has a lot of other benefits that I'm just going to mention, but the lower operating costs by eliminating duplicates at East and West, competitive sports teams, more stable enrollment. And by more stable enrollment, it's not only these 440 equivalent kids that have dropped out, but we've got over 600 that open enrolled in other schools. So there's 1,000 kids out there that, with a better program, if we can reel them in, will diminish our reduction in enrollment. So we have some control ourselves. So this proposal is visionary in several ways. First of all, it achieves equal opportunity for all. It tacitly recognizes that all our past efforts to achieve separate but equal at the high schools have been only marginally successful. To really be successful at that, you need all kids in one place, easy access to here, not lose a class period to go to a career course. And by the way, did you mention the graduation rate of a student taking a career course is 94?
Yeah.
95?
Mid-90s.
95. And it's the same across all racial demographics, 95%. So this proposal essentially, from a philosophical standpoint, and this is just me, it's responding to a societal change, especially the last 5 years that have rendered the traditional school structure, which is traditional high school, maybe a few career courses over here, it's really obsolete. It's based on a carrot and stick approach. You try to make the courses as interesting as you can as the carrot, but you have the stick in terms of truant officers and so forth. That day is gone. There is no stick anymore. It has to be all carrot. There's no way, there's not enough truant officers to wrangle 400 absent middle school kids and 600 absent high school kids every day. Parents increasingly are unable to control their kids into going to school. In other words, if the kid doesn't want to come, they're not going to come. All the traditional methods fail. So, the carrot that we can and ought to provide is as broad a menu as possible in these course offerings. You know, we're really fortunate right here to have 7 years of experience of career offerings. We know that kids are successful. So we've got a prototype. We just need to make that as broad as possible. So right now we're at 20 this fall careers. So there's been criticized as well, it's a trial and error. Of course it's a trial and error process. But the more trials you do, the more likely you're able to hit on one you're interested in. And what we found out is once these kids are interested in something, they go in full bore. That's why they keep coming back to this place and not the other high school. I mean, you should hear them talk. They say, I don't want to go to the other high schools. I want to just stay here. So we've got the model for success. You know, it's kind of like this menu, you know, it's just like a restaurant. The more offerings you have, the more likely some picky eater, like your daughter, is going to find something on the menu they like. So, last page. You have to, you know, explore, give kids a chance to explore this expansive menu. And it starts, as Director Medlock said, in 6th and 7th grade. So with Bunger, Carver, and Hoover at reduced capacity, because I only have 2 classes instead of 1, there's space for counseling and an exploratory full menu of high school offerings. East and West Junior both have sufficient space, especially for the catch-up courses. I call it 8.5, call it whatever you want. But there's obviously a third of the kids who do not have the skills to be successful in 9th grade that have just been in 8th grade. So we need to offer an intermediate boost in their education so that once they start permanent record, they don't end up with 0 credits, 5 Fs, 11 Fs. You know, vision and, I've been on the soapbox, vision and hope. You have to give them the vision, but when you fail all your courses, you lose hope. And then you're kind of done. And then you're kind of going to be a dropout. So the same 165 million could be used to upgrade East and West to, I don't know, say a 50-year school at least. We think of schools, of new schools, as being 70-year schools, paying that. But it does not address absenteeism. It does not address dropout rate. It does not address school-to-prison pipeline. It does not address enrollment stability. And it does not provide efficiency in the case enrollment goes up or down. So,
Or equitability.
or equity as well. So it's a multifaceted plan. The more people understand, I think the more they realize it was molded from a lot of different people. And it fits our mission. Educate our kids in a manner that's beneficial to both them, our community, and the taxpaying public. So I support this, and I think it is urgent, because my one regret about the bond failing last time is since that time we've had 1,000 kids drop out. I don't know how many are in jail, but there's a number of them, I'm sure. So we robbed them of that opportunity. So I don't want to rob kids, you know, it's still going to be 4 years. But beyond that, I think we need to plan right now to provide that opportunity as soon as we can, because it's not working.
Phew. Thank you all. One of the benefits of sitting in this seat is that you get to get the last word. I think I'm gonna have to dial back on my, everybody gets an opportunity to speak and speak their mind freely.
Give us a timer.
That was a lot, yep. But I do want to thank you all for the time you spent. I know each person sitting at this table doesn't take this lightly. I believe Lau mentioned that we all are in the business of making sure our students progress, making sure we provide opportunities for our students. So I appreciate that. For those of you that don't know, we had a similar meeting on July 8th. So I do want to thank the public for coming to speak, because I can guarantee you that nobody up here prepared any statements for tonight's meeting. Am I correct on that?
No. I mean, I can go to speak, period.
I don't think, well, allow Howard to, oh, yeah. I'm sure he didn't write anything new. But I don't believe anybody prepared any notes prior to today's meeting. So your input as a community sparked this whole conversation. And I've said it before, the importance of allowing the community to speak, and then giving the board time to respond, and also speaking their mind as well is important for me sitting in this seat. But like I said, sitting in this seat also, everybody else gets to take a little bit of what I was going to say. It makes my position a little bit easier. So I do want to thank the public, because you light a fire underneath us as well. We're accountable to you as a community. So I thank you. We thank you for showing up and voicing your thoughts and opinions. Like I said, I'm one of the ones that didn't prepare anything this evening. But I'll go back to a few comments that I made on July 8th, and I promise you I'll keep it short, because I think we got a 10:30 time, man. That's our guess. Throughout this process, I I did a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching, a lot of going back and forth with people, a lot of meetings. And I was one of those ones that, was here. But there's something that rose to the forefront for me. And this building is a gem. This building is one of one. The thought that went into it, the processes that make it run. But I also think the utilization of it may not, how can I put this in the most positive way? This building was the thought of this building and the students, the type of student that would benefit from it and occupy it, I don't know if that's currently being met. So if you ask my buddy Lyle, the student, and I believe he referenced this, that marginal student, that C+, C-, that maybe struggle with, sitting in the classroom, with not necessarily with the reading and writing, but that student, that high achieving, high functioning student that we know is a 4-year college ready student when they leave our district. The more hands-on technical programming in this building is the draw, or that was the draw for the students in our district. I believe the students that currently benefit from the Career Center will always have those opportunities. Their parents will make sure they get here. It'll be pushed for those students, no matter the area they come from. My concern is that there's a large population of students that will be left behind during this process. Those are the students that aren't currently being served in this building. Now, can we make that be a thing where we reach those students and those students benefit from it? Absolutely. Going back to the other board comments, we have to be intentional on some of the processes we have in place. And one of the analogies that I gave is if we have a high achieving student that utilizes this facility for college level courses, and then you have a student that maybe have not received all their credits, and everybody is in this building, and one student has already fulfilled their requirements or maybe has English credit to receive. How do you determine who gets in those classes if those slots are limited? How can you tell a high achieving 3.7 GPA student that there might not be room if a certain amount of students want to take a digital mass media course or construction course? So I believe we have to be intentional on how we push this. Some of the thought that goes into scheduling and who this facility and this new building can benefit. I said most of my comments on the July 8th meeting. Whether the vote passes, which I believe it will, I'm going to be supportive because I love this community. And when I say love this community, I don't mean one area, one section, one type of student, one type of family. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a collaborator. I believe working together or coming together can do wondrous things. That's the beauty of where we live. That's the beauty in us sitting here, coming from different walks of life, putting our heads together, coming up with a decision that we think can benefit our students in our community. So whatever the goal may be, and I think I have an idea, I'm going to be out in front. I tell people all the time they don't like to hear, but I got about 15 months left. Yes, I'm counting down the days. But I'll be a champion for whichever way we decide as a district that we're going to move. I don't know that there's any place like Waterloo or the Waterloo Community School District. I mentioned how diverse our population is. I mentioned how we're not like any of our surrounding areas or any of the model schools the schools or the districts that we were looking to model when this conversation came up. We're not. I don't know if we'll ever be. So we have to do it our way. We have to be intentional, strategic, innovative, but we have to do it together. So whether you're opposed of this plan or whether you're for it, we're going to count on all of you to come together.
Let's meet it.
Because this is the biggest thing that in my 39 years in Waterloo, the biggest thing that I've ever seen, witnessed, and then to be a part of. So I'm going to challenge each one of you in this room, and the people that you communicate with. Let's get it right. We don't have any time to waste. Any time to waste. I got a couple of messages after the July 8th meeting that the whole state of Iowa is watching us.
Good.
They watched us with the Career Center. Now they're watching us in what we decide to do and how we can come together as a community to make sure this works. I'm not big on nice, new, shiny things, especially if the inner workings aren't there. We can build this brand new, shiny building, whether it's $165 million, whether it's $2. If the inner workings aren't there, it's all for nothing. So I'm going to look to my right, your left. And I'm going to challenge Dr. Jared Smith, and I'll look out in the crowd to the DLT members and the people that are going to support this project. Out of the love that I have for the place that I call home. Okay? Let's get it right. Let's get it right. With that being said, this is a roll call vote. So I'll start to my right. It's time. Ready? Do I need to read the recommendation again? I will. Exactly. So I'll read the recommendation since we're 2 hours in. The superintendent's recommendation is that that the Board of Education approve the resolution supporting the proposed issuance of approximately $165 million in school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds as presented. As I mentioned, this is a roll call vote. So Director Cox?
Nay.
Director Matlock?
Yes.
Director Ewing?
Yes.
Director Schmidt?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Aye.
Thank you for staying with us.
Sorry. I'm trying my best.
Chair is opposed? 5-2. Motion carried. All right. So there's a little more. Now, therefore, it resolved, the Board of Directors supports the proposal to issue approximately $165 million in school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds, which may be issued in one or more series over multiple fiscal years pursuant to Iowa Code Sections 423F.2 and 423F.4 for the purpose of providing funds to convert Central Middle School building into a new high school building, including constructing additions and related remodeling and improve the site, including cost of issuance and a debt service reserve fund if required by the purchaser. Any bond proceeds remaining after completion of this project will be used for other school infrastructure projects as authorized by the school's district's revenue purpose statement. Eligible electors of the school district have the right to file with the board secretary a petition pursuant to Iowa Code Section 423F.42B on or before close of business on August 12, 2024 for an election on the proposed bond issuance. The petition must be signed by eligible electors equal in number to not less than 100 or 30% of those voting at the last preceding election of school officials under Iowa Code Section 277.1, whichever is greater. In the event a petition containing the required number of valid signatures is filed with the Secretary of the Board on or before close of business on August 12, 2024, the President shall call a meeting of the Board to consider withdrawing the proposed bond issuance or directing that question of the proposed bond issuance to be submitted to the qualified electors of the school district. If the Board determines to submit the question to the electors, the proposition to be submitted shall be as follows. Shall the Board of Directors of the Waterloo Community School District in the County of Black Hawk, State of Iowa, be authorized to issue approximately $165 million school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds, which may be issued in one or more series over multiple fiscal years, pursuant to Iowa Code Section 423F.2 and 423F.4 in the approximate amount of $165 million for the purpose of providing funds to convert Central Middle School building into a new high school building, including constructing additions and related remodeling, and improve the site, including cost of issuance and a debt service reserve fund if required by the purchaser, with any bond proceeds remaining after completion of this project used for the other school infrastructure projects as authorized by the school district's revenue purpose statement. Okay. Do I need to say it? Okay. Okay, that was a lot. Thank you all for sticking with us. And now for our superintendent's report.
Well, it's been a long meeting, so I don't need to spend a lot of time here, but I just want to thank the board for all your time. Stacy, thanks for hanging in there. It's an important vote. We really appreciate it. I think we said, we promised you half an hour, and it's 2.5 hours, so just thanks to the group. One, just real quick, I will not go long, but one real quick story I heard just a couple weeks ago was, just so you know, I live downtown Waterloo. My apartment overlooks the river over at East High. Every morning I go to the Sportsplex, which is downtown Waterloo. A number of you have been there. Some of you are regulars there. A guy should be. Hey, New Year's resolutions are, well, we're about halfway there. But a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm really supportive of the project. I hope it passes." And he said, "Do you remember back in 2012 when people were not sold on this project?" And I was like, "Well, I wasn't here. I was actually in Fort Dodge at the time." But he said the same concerns they had about the Sportsplex, they're having about the high school. Those concerns are the location. It's not going to serve all kids. It's only for certain people on a certain side of town. It's for the rich folks, whatever it is, right? That was the room. That was what the Sportsplex was all about, was supposed to be all about. As somebody who goes in there every single day, it's not the case. I see people of all different races, all different ages, all different backgrounds that utilize that Sportsplex. It's become one of the shining spots in the Waterloo community. Almost every one of us has some connection there, whether their kids play there, they organize the Little League there, whatever it is. So again, I walk that track a lot on the weekends. If you ever go to the Sportsplex on the weekends, it's a sight to behold because you see really a melting pot of the Waterloo community down there. You got the basketball courts, you got the soccer fields, you got football, you got softball. You see it all. You see it old, young, all different races, all different nationalities. It's a cool thing to behold. I really think we're going to see the same thing once this opens for our kid. It's going to be the same feel. It's going to be an amazing melting pot of everybody just enjoying the facilities that we have. So keep that in mind, that we've been through similar things like this before. This is not new to the community. This is a community that is very conscientious about its money, about how we're doing its projects. But it took people who were very forward-thinking and stuck to their guns back in 2012 to make that project happen. I feel like the same thing's happening here. So I'm very thankful for this group, for the group that's stuck around. Super excited. And like Astor said, he wants a good product. I guarantee you're going to give him a good product here. So super excited. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Smith.
No, man, can I go? Because then I got to leave.
Dogs.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I was going to leave you for last, too, since you
Yeah.
were this long. Director Mills.
First of all, I do apologize if I do seem a little woozy, and I hope the media is nice to me with that because it's been a rough couple hours. But thank everybody for being here. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. All of our kids deserve an equitable education regardless of where they live. Evansdale, Elkbrun, Gilbertville, Raymond, East Side, West Side. We're one Waterloo School District, and I want everybody to be able to have the best experience that they can. One thing that does bother me is, since I've been on the board, and I've kind of butted heads quite a few times because transparency is very important to me. It hurts that I feel like maybe we have had people who don't feel they've been transparent. So moving forward with this, I just want people to know that it will continue to be my mission for us to be as transparent as we can and for people to know that I'm an open door. So please come and let me know if you feel like you're not being heard. And thank you for the discussion we had tonight. I think that our board really gives a robust response to the community. I'm very proud of that. So thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go, guys. Okay.
Thank you, Director Mills. Director Knight.
Well, just thank you for the community for showing up for some very important night discussion here. Appreciate all the opinions that were brought, concerns, and I will take those in and help formulate my opinions on it and my position. So, and then July 29th. School's right around the corner. I hope I just made it to the families out there. You haven't got your kids registered yet. It is beyond time. We need to get some head counts and see classrooms get going, buses moving, and all the great things that go with August as we go closer to go time here. So just wishing everybody as we head into August a great start to the next school year, and appreciate the moments you have because you never know when you won't have those. So.
Thank you, Director Knight. Director Matlock.
Just want to say thank you, like I said earlier, for everybody coming out tonight. I want to thank the DOT team. I feel like I'm at a point where, went through all that onboarding. I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable in this space. So I appreciate all the information, the community giving me information about the district. I'm looking forward to the upcoming school year. Last meeting I said summer's almost over, but truly, summer is almost over.
Yes.
Looking forward to the opening celebration. I'm not sure what that looks like. I don't know if I'm supposed to be there, but I'm excited. Okay, all right. I'm excited about the opening celebration, getting the year kicked off, and looking forward to the school year, getting in the buildings a little bit more, meeting some more of the teachers, and seeing the smiling faces of our students. So thank you once again, and I appreciate all your support and knowledge that you have given me.
Thank you, Director Matlock. Director Cox.
Hey, definitely like to thank the community, and I'd like to thank everyone in this process. I'm not quite as comfortable yet, but I know we are going to get comfortable. I'm excited about school. I'm excited about seeing the kids. I'm excited. Ran into some teachers, they're excited, and that's a good sign. That's definitely a good sign. So I just want to say I'm looking forward to this upcoming year, getting into schools and checking it out.
Thank you, Director Cox. Director Schmidt.
Yeah, I just echo the comments about grateful all the people that attended tonight, and hopefully our discussion helped inform the public a little bit. It's a very complex project, and it's really hard, difficult to fully explain, even in 2 minutes that you give me. But comprehensively, if you listen to everybody, pros and cons, hopefully there's a better feeling about, a more informed feeling about what the project really is and why it's being proposed. So, thank you.
Short and sweet. Thank you, Director Schmidt. Again, I want to thank the community. Want to thank the community for sticking with us throughout this process and this evening. We do, as I mentioned before, you generate conversation amongst us. You push us to be better. You light a fire underneath us. So we appreciate you. To everyone that spoke this evening, thank you. Please continue. Please continue to let your voices be heard, to show up in this space, even when we go back to the ESC. Please show up. Please show up. We appreciate seeing your faces and hearing. Even though it's 7 of us, including the people that are at this table, we don't think of everything that could possibly be thought of throughout the community and throughout the district. So your input matters. So we appreciate that. To my fellow board members, again, as I always do, thank you. Thank you for your tireless work. know this has been a process. I know you took the time out to do your homework and some late nights, so I appreciate you all. To my savior, Pam, who doesn't get a whole lot of credit, who keeps us on task, who's the engine that makes this all go. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. She keeps me on point if you see me doing this, and she keeps Dr. Smith on point as well. So we do appreciate everything you do. A couple of important dates. Our next board meeting will be in this same space on August 12th at 5 p.m. Opening day, as Director Matlock mentioned, for employees of the district will be August 21st at the West High Kurzenbrock Auditorium at 8:30 a.m. Looking forward to that as usual. It's always a good time to interact with our staff, and everybody's always excited. But what we talked about today, this process is not over. It's not over. It's actually just beginning. So keep that in mind as you move forward. Don't stop reaching out and communicating. Don't stop thinking of ideas, because your input is valuable. So with that being said, that's all I have. Can I get a motion to adjourn? So moved. All those in favor? Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.